Welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange Podcast. Stories by leaders for leaders to help you raise the bar on your own excellence, to release the potential inside of you. Now, here's today's podcast. Welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange. This is Hugh Ballou, founder and president of Center Vision Leadership Foundation. We work with leaders creating synergy with their vision, building high-performing teams. It's from your vision. We're talking about tools, technology today. We're talking about, let's pay attention. We need to be sure we have safeguards in place. It's a technology world. It's given us a lot of boost. It's given us a lot of ability. However, we want to talk about the cautions that we need to put into place for ourselves and our organizations. Our guest today that we interview is Christopher Wright. I met Chris recently and said, why don't we come on the Nonprofit Exchange and talk about your knowledge base? So Chris, tell us a little bit about your background, and especially as it comes to technology and the work that you're doing now. Welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thank you for being thanks for hosting and love the opportunity to be on with you. My background is in military aviation. I started in Army aviation back in about 2004, and then stayed with it for quite a long time. Really got to see the progression of AI drone warfare, and uh, and I served as a contractor in the Middle East for quite a while, and saw a lot of how these countries are purchasing these AI drone weapon systems and things like that. So I really got familiar with this new aspect of warfare. To include a lot of these systems that get into command and control. Not just like warfighting, but command and control type stuff. And you really see the future of AI, and it's a pretty disturbing future. And so it really motivated me to get involved in this discussion. And what I found is pretty shocking. So I've started a company called the AI Trust Council. The idea behind the AI Trust Council is to give people an opportunity to weigh in on where AI goes. And so in order to do that, you have to have trusted source and know that who you're talking to is an actual real person. And this day and age, it's that trust in who someone is online is going away. And so the AI Trust Council solves that problem. And so we have a very unique KYC process where we know who people are, and give them the ability to be polled on what they think is good AI versus bad AI, and also gives people the ability to make money off their own data, which is really the future of the internet. And so that's my background. And so I've been busy launching the AI Trust Council. What we've been doing is recruiting firefighters, EMTs, commercial pilots, humanitarians, and basically people who are pro-human, people who care about humanity. And what I found in the tech space today is that we really have a need for pro-human people to be at the forefront to guide this whole AI agenda, because it is a huge amount of risk, but also a huge amount of benefit if we steer it correctly. So that's what we're looking to do.
So you made a huge transition and flying Apache helicopters. That's a helicopter, isn't it? There's a whole lot of
Yep, exactly.
technology and even the holograms and how you see, you can look ahead and there's an image. I've seen smidgets of those things, and it's far more advanced than I have in my Mustang when I drive down the highway. I can envision, I can see all that.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's weigh in a
Yeah.
minute. I don't think there may be some people are not even aware of both sides of this. So list, like 2, 3, 4 advantages of AI, and then list
Mhm.
an equal side of what are some of the negative side of that.
Yeah, so the advantages are, it's almost countless the amount of advantages that are going to come from AI. Everywhere from healthcare to education, things like that that are, those are pro-human use cases for AI. Those are things that are going to help us, thrive into the future. And it's, people are just, we've only been about a year into this advanced AI with OpenAI coming on board, and you know all these entrepreneurs are coming up with really cool ideas and solutions to all sorts of problems. But at the same time, as rapidly as they're developing these solutions, we're also creating problems and creating issues for humanity. Because basically, what you have is a split of systems. We have our old system of that we're familiar with is getting replaced with this new AI digital future, and so that comes with a huge amount of risk. So some of the big pieces are internet viruses. Um, AI is a hacking tool that will beat all human hackers. And so if you have a human hacker that is, got bad intent or, who's they can use these AI tools to almost defeat any system. You can use the spoofing and things like that to spoof, someone's likeness. So you can actually, so like I was just in Las Vegas and they had some, um, Caesar's Palace and MGM basically got shut down. And one of the tricks that was used during that hack that shut down Caesar's and MGM was these AI likenesses that you can use for voice and also recreate someone's image. And so literally you can sneak in through all sorts of things by just misrepresenting yourself. And so that's a major problem. And so we're just kind of starting to see the start of these types of crimes occurring. But big picture, it's really the digitization of our DNA. The tech industry is hell bent on creating this AI digital future, and you can listen to guys like Peter Diamandis. He's a really well known tech entrepreneur, but he looks at humanity in our current form as a placeholder for technology, meaning that we are human 1.0 today, but soon we will morph into human 2.0, similar to like a caterpillar to a butterfly. The tech industry, tech leaders are looking at this future as a positive. They actually welcome the elimination of human 1.0 and the birth of human 2.0. And then with that, could come some major reductions in our world population. But they're kind of happy to do that because what they're looking at is this future where AI can ultimately cause us to live forever. So it provides life extension. You have AI that's been able to solve the protein folding problem. It's a kind of a fundamental problem with developing new medicines and things like that. So with AI, you're now able to model, protein structures accurately, and so you can almost take any problem within the body and fix it with these new drugs that are created from AI. So no longer do you have to have scientists and teams of people working on this stuff. You can actually get it done, in a matter of minutes to create these things, and it's just a matter of getting the chemical compounds situated. So you can picture that on a military level. If there's bad actors, trying to use that same technology, you can imagine, the ability to create a lot of different, bio type weapon systems or chemical type weapon systems. And it's too easy to create that kind of stuff. And so those are some of the big issues with AI right now. But fundamentally, I see the biggest problem is really the mentality of these tech leaders. They're not they're really not focused on humanity. I mean, it's an afterthought, and that goes into that different mindset where they're you could call them accelerationists. People who are interested in accelerating the technology as fast as humanly possible in order to reach this future point where technology becomes our leadership. So you're already starting to see that. I met somebody from the Rockefeller Foundation yesterday down at South by Southwest right now in Austin. But yeah, she's getting paid to go to Lake Como and basically study human ethics on AI in order to form an AI government. And so that's the future where we're going. So yeah, these leaders want AI governance. That is the future. So if you look at the actions of our current leadership and the EU, United States, Canada, it's like they're doing everything they can possibly do to irritate the population,
Yeah.
and my opinion is it's this is by design, and it's by design intentionally to create this need for an AI government, and so that's what I'm seeing.
Wow.
Us.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
That's profound. Go, David.
Chris, you've used the words human and you've used the words of AI technology and so forth. But being human, I'd like to hear a little bit about what you learned about humanity when you spent that 10 years. Oh, and by the way, thanks for your service. We're both veterans,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
so it's a good trio
Oh,
today.
cool.
But what did your 10 years in the Middle East teach you about humanity at large?
It's interesting. I feel like humans share the same thoughts. Everybody wants pretty much the same thing. People want a family, people want to be happy, people want to just be like, free to do what they want to do and just, love each other. That's the kind of baseline of humans. And you see that all over the world. No matter where you go, you see that. And so when it comes to this future we're building, that should really be the goal of where AI goes, is to bring humans together. And so what I'm seeing is it's actually kind of doing the opposite at this point. It's actually kind of shifting people into this digital realm, where instead of focusing on each other, we're now focused on the digital realm, and we're falling into this digital trap ultimately, where these futurists really want us to become one with the digital realm, and they're fine with this merging of our consciousness with the digital realm, and so they're using AI to help achieve that. And so there's all sorts of examples of this occurring, but yeah, so it's worldwide. I've traveled quite a bit in the military. You got to see quite a few different places, and that's one of the constants, is that people want family, and they just want to be loved and taken care of, and be able to enjoy life. And so I do see AI as a benefit to that. If as long as it's steered in a positive direction, but that requires a lot of responsibility and a lot of oversight.
Thanks.
Let me, we got a lot of questions. I'm not sure there's so many things to delve into, but I'm going to go right to one down my list here. So uh, there's risks of this and taking away privileges, but what regulations need to be in place? And just as an ordinary citizen, can I do anything about any of it?
Yeah. So right now, we've got an election coming up. This is probably one of the most critical elections in human history, which is not to overstate anything, but yeah, it really is, because and especially in the United States, because we're in a major leadership position here, and how this unfolds will dictate the future of humanity. Because what we're in the early stages of growing this. It's ultimately like a child we're raising collectively as humans today. And AI and it is this basically like an alien life form, and it will soon be, it's already about 2000 IQ. That's actually an old number. So some of the concepts are that we're getting up to a million pretty quickly IQ, and then soon it will be around a billion IQ. And so humans, we're operating, we're like a dial-up speed compared to that. We're 100, 120 average, type of thing. like and so you're dealing with these systems that are unbelievably brilliant, that can manipulate us. And so this is a time where we've got to stick together. Humans that care about other humans need to come together and be like, look, let's ensure we can use this stuff for good, but let's protect ourselves from the downsides. And when you're dealing with something that's that intelligent and tricky, and also modeled after the open internet, which has all sorts of crazy flaws and issues and things like that, as far as human characteristics, the AI has learned human behavior from that data set. And so it's like, well, what type of future is that going to provide to us, as individuals have to live with these systems and the decision making of these systems. And the tendency is to automate everything because it's easy. And to the point where you actually have these AI robots coming in next year. Tesla's making them. They're about $20,000. But you have AGI, which is basically here now, which is artificial general intelligence. And so you're dealing with systems that are, on par or way above human intelligence, walking around your house, walking around your yard, doing things for you, operating as customer service, operating as a, policeman, soldier, carpenter, pretty much any job you could think of, they can do it. And, to the point where they're actually very skilled at making dinner, cleaning up dishes, and that kind of thing. So, so our future is going to be very, very different. But we have this little window right now where if we get together and we say, hey, no, this is, cool. I like the toys, but, human factors are number one. Make sure it's safe, make sure it helps people and doesn't hurt people, make sure mental health is, protected. That's the main thing. And so, my aviation background, I really look at like safety, kind of differently than a lot of other people, because, in aviation, that's all you're doing. You're doing dangerous stuff every day. So you have to be very focused on safety in order to, to survive, right? So we're, humans are reaching that point with AI, same thing. We have to be very careful with this to survive and then thrive into the future. And it's very possible, but just take some oversight.
Well, the future of technology and humanity is pretty questionable. You mentioned that robots and those types of things can act as military, or I think you called police. There already are robots that are securing, like, for space rentals, to put storage in and that kind of stuff. But we're talking about, you said human 1.0 and human 2.0. That's, separating one from the other. How does that tie into humanity in general? Do you perceive that their intention is separating, like they're trying to separate humans now by color, as opposed to not enhanced or not enhanced, I guess?
Yeah, it's really kind of an odd split that's going on right now. It's really two camps, and it coincides with some of these differences you see politically. But you can ask people, are you pro-human? Would you choose Team AI or Team Human? Just pick one. And there's people that struggle with that question. They wouldn't necessarily pick Team Human, and they would actually side with Team AI. And so that's really the picture, is that there's a emerging digitally, through like CRISPR technology and mRNA technology. The vaccines are part of that. But it's the digital interface with our human bodies, to where it then can be manipulated by, digitally, so that we can, the Moderna website used to have used to describe the first shot that you get for COVID as being an operating system. And that operating system is just like a computer, like an internet operating, or iOS or whatever. And then each subsequent shot would then be an app that would run on that operating system. So it's a way to digitize humans and digitize our future, and actually then shape, how humans behave, like the gene expression, a lot of things like that. So, but what's interesting is that the collapse of humanity and the dwindling down of our population is a theme within the tech community. And so they look at us as like being replaceable. We're so the whole concept of a soul, or what makes humans humans, it's not even part of the conversation. And tech leadership, they don't they're not thinking about souls. They don't think about like that special piece that makes humans human. And so they're more than happy to have a digital replacement for that. And live in a world where you're talking to robots, and you have a robot girlfriend, robot romance, all that kind of stuff, and they're pushing forward with that like as fast as possible. So it's pretty wild.
Oh, I'm envisioning a Terminator kind of monster with this
Right.
AI. Am I making that up?
Yeah, I mean, it's here. I mean, like literally, it's already here. I had a debate recently in Vegas. I've debated some different tech folks and on AI, and that's really the story is that Terminator 2 is actually history now, not the movie, but the actual taking of human life by algorithm. So Libya, 2021, they were taking out humans with algorithms, meaning that you have these little drone packages that you launch, and there'll be like 50, 100 drones, and so they go scout the battlefield looking for targets, and it's not a human pulling the trigger, it's an actual algorithm. And so you can use facial recognition, uniform insignia, location, that kind of thing, and so the AI just figures it out and will execute on whatever parameters it needs to. And so then the issue with that is it's just scale, because as those things scale up, it puts a huge amount of power in the hands of whoever owns that. And these systems are cheap. I mean, a couple $100,000, you can get a really nice drone package for offensive capability, and so third world countries are picking those up and using them left and right. So it's the future of warfare. It's the future of policing, future of governance. You can look at China as an example. It's the perfect case study for our future. And so it really is getting into this point where you're having a split of humans where it's either, you're pro-human or you're, this pro-accelerationist, extinctionist mentality. And so it's kind of a split. And so, in China is a good example, this pro-accelerationist, world.
Read about a lot about that. So
Yeah.
this is a lot of data. David, there's only time for one more question. You go for it. Then I'll show the website.
Chris, you've got me shook up a little bit, and I've heard all of this more than once. But every time it comes up, I'm very pro-human, and I need to start saying that a heck of a lot more based on what this last 20, 25 minutes has been. But what can we as humans do to avoid some of the potential disasters that you're describing?
Yeah, so right now, the first step would be education, just getting educated on it, talking about it. And you could actually test, there's a test you can do to see if people, have this persuasion, if they're on this one side or the other. But it's, you can ask them, like, which team are you on? Team human or team AI? Another way to do it is say, if AI was going to destroy humanity tomorrow, would you turn it off? Yes or no? Personally, and what will happen is usually they'll argue with you. They'll be like, "Oh no, I'll never turn it off because what about the benefits?" And I'm like, "Well, we're saying it will destroy humanity tomorrow. You're in control of the switch. Would you shut it down?" And some folks won't. And I'm like, "Well, why wouldn't you just shut it down and just save humanity?" It's just we could re-engineer the details later, but just keep it safe for people, And so anyway, outside of that, I've got the AI Trust Council. I'm doing webinars. So we've got one coming up on the 18th. It'll be advertised on our website. It's theaitc.com. So it's the AITC.
On that note,
AITC stands for it.
Let me show that, Chris. So if people go to the theaitc.com. So what will we find? Yeah, tell us more about what we'll find. If you're watching the video, you can see it on the audio podcast. You have to go there yourself. Theaitc.com. Go ahead, Chris. What will they find there?
Yeah, so we're about to start posting our webinar links there, and so it'll be open. So you'll be able to just jump on the webinar links there, and we'll repost them too, and on the site. And the idea is to get pro-human people to start discussing this openly, and just say, look, we have a problem. I mean, this is an emergency. I've engaged with firefighters and emergency services folks because this is such an emergency that there's a high likelihood of some sort of disruption to either power or internet, because these AI, we're not protected from these AI systems yet, and they do have the capability of just kind of going nuts and just it's like a gremlin, just does all sorts of weird stuff, and we're not ready. And so anyway, we're going to have those discussions, and I'm down here in Austin right now, engaging with the Kennedy campaign, talking to them a little bit about some of these issues, but yeah, it's really political. This is a political issue, and it should be in the forefront of the political conversation of 2024.
So be in the conversation, listen carefully, watch out for your email and your phone calls, because this has taken a whole new life of invading our privacy. Chris, thank you for your dedication to this work. And I think it takes all of us to be all hands on deck to be perfectly aware. So what's your final thought for people, your wise counsel? What do you think people need to take away from this conversation?
Yeah, I would say don't trust the hype that you're seeing from it's almost a Hollywoodization of big tech. So you get like these Sam Altman and Bill Gates, all these guys. It's like celebrity status, and so there's this $1 trillion machine behind paying for all this this media attention and stuff like that. But it tricks you into thinking it's safe. The thing is, these guys don't have our best interests in mind. I mean, they literally are they're focused on technology ahead of humanity. So that's a key thing, and understanding there is a split. It's a mindset thing, and it's just some people are really pro tech, some people are really pro human. So
let's stay on the human side of this. Christopher Wright, thank you for being our guest today on the Nonprofit Exchange. Thank you for watching the Nonprofit Exchange.